How's it going, Headliner Nation? Chris Kennedy with the Fantasy Headliners here, back again for some Week 11 NFL DFS goodness. Now, I want to start off this video with an apology to Headliner Nation. Last week, my picks absolutely bombed. And not just the DFS picks for DraftKings. Monkey Knife Fight as well was pretty much an abomination. So this week, we're going to start fresh. We're going to kick things off with some Monkey Knife Fight picks that are hopefully going to bounce back from last week's absolute disaster. Now, for these picks here, they are going to be the same, more or less, picks that I've been making throughout the last few weeks. So pretty much you just have to decide if that certain player is going to have more or less than the given number statistic that Monkey Knife Fight is giving them. So make sure you're heading over to monkeyknifefight.com. Follow the instructions that you see on the screen. Just enter in promo code HEADLINERS when you open up a new account. Make at least a $10 deposit, and we will make sure to 100% match that up to $50. So we're going to start here with a couple of 1 o'clock games. The first one matchup I'm going for right now is going to be a quarterback duel, and that is Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger. Matt Ryan's stat right now is over under 297.5 yards. I'm taking less than that here, and I say that because Matt Ryan hasn't reached that number over the last couple of games, and he is facing a fairly good defense in the New Orleans Saints. So for me, Matt Ryan, under 297.5, and he may or may not have Calvin Ridley this week. Ridley was limited in practice on Wednesday, but it's still not a telltale sure sign if he's going to be suiting up on Sunday. Moving over to Ben Roethlisberger, this one I really like. His over-under is 283.5, and I'm going to smash the over on this. He's topped 300 passing yards over his last couple of games, and for touchdowns, he's been on absolute fire, recording a multi-touchdown game in every single game but one this season. And I know it's not a touchdown stat, but the yardage one I absolutely love. So less for Matt Ryan, more for Ben Roethlisberger. The next more or less is actually a 5-time multiplier that'll help you win a little bit more money. Still Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger with the same numbers, but they throw in a receiving yard prop with Julio Jones. That receiving prop is 92.5 receiving yards. And for me, I'm taking the under here. And I say that because since 2019, whenever Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley have been on the field together, Julio Jones is averaging about 87 receiving yards per game. And right now, it looks like all signs are pointing towards Ridley playing this week. And if he does, that's certainly going to hinder Julio's production. So less for Matt Ryan, more for Ben Roethlisberger, and then less for Julio Jones. So those are my Monkey Knife Fight picks for this week, Week 11. Hopefully we can bounce back from last week and win you guys some money. Now, let's get into the actual DFS picks here. Touched on it with Monkey Knife Fight, and one of the plays that I absolutely love this week for quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are allowing 289 passing yards per game, a completion rate of 70%, and a touchdown rate of 6% to opposing quarterbacks this year. Roethlisberger, yes, he's banged up. He's hurting in both knees, but for Ben Roethlisberger, it doesn't really matter. For him, he's somebody who actually seems to play better when he gets banged up, when he's not 100% healthy. And he's got a great receiving core around him to really help, really just meet that value that we need for him on DraftKings. So this week at DraftKings, he's priced at $6,700, and I think that's going to help you really spend up elsewhere where you don't have to reach for some of those top tier quarterbacks. So at $6,700, Ben Roethlisberger for me. Moving over to running back this week. I missed big time on a lot of those picks last week, you guys. Deshaun Watson didn't hit. My running back, Mike Davis, didn't hit. So this week, we're going with Kalen Ballage of the LA Chargers. Priced at only $5,600 right now on DraftKings. And that's a great value for somebody over the last 2 weeks that has had 40 total touches over those last 2 weeks. And the only running backs that actually have more touches than he does over that span, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, and James Robinson, who are all top 5 fantasy running backs at the moment. So the Chargers are more than willing to give Ballage a RB1 workload, and going up against the Jets defense that's allowing 101 rushing yards to running backs, it's a great matchup. One other thing about Ballage that I also like. He has 16 receptions on the year, and the Jets are allowing about 6 receptions per game and 43 receiving yards per game to opposing running backs. So $5,600, Kalen Ballage. I'm not too worried about Troymaine Pope stealing any touches. He was active last week, didn't touch the ball once. Josh Kelly had about 7 or 8 carries. So again, I'm not worried about those other backs cutting into Ballage's workload. Start him with confidence this week. Going over to wide receiver here. I'm going to go a little bit more middle range here. I don't want to go too low. I don't want to go too high. But a guy that I am all in on as a must start in season long and also a good DFS play is Eagles' new star receiver, Travis Fulgham. Only $5,600 on DraftKings. And the one thing I love about his matchup against Cleveland is Fulgham lines up majority of the time on the left side of the field. The Browns, one of the worst areas of their defense right now for their secondary is defending that left side of the field. They're allowing a ton of yardage to wide receiver ones, about just over 80 yards per game to wide receiver ones. And the other thing about the Browns right now is they're a little bit hindered. We're not sure what team is going to show up on a week-to-week basis. They allow a ton of fantasy points to wide receivers, about 43 fantasy points per game to wide receivers. And Fulgham has now become the clear-cut number 1 option for the Eagles. Most likely it'll be Jalen Reagor down the road in the future, but Fulgham has really shown that he belongs and that he can play with the rest of the better receivers in this league. So at $5,600, love me some Travis Fulgham. Finally, we're going to finish things off with the tight end position. And everyone has those players that they absolutely love that they just can't quit. They just keep going back to the well, and no matter how many times they might get burned, they're just a glutton for punishment. It doesn't matter who that player might be. I know for Kyle, Joe Mixon. For Jake, Kenyon Drake. Certain players we absolutely love. And a guy for me that I really like, that I've gotten burned on a couple of times in these videos, but I'm going back to him one more time, Logan Thomas from the Washington football team. That's right. He's finally starting to blossom. Maybe it was the quarterback change, going from Dwayne Haskins to Kyle Allen, and now it's going to be Alex Smith. So I like this play this week because not only is he priced at $3,300 on DraftKings, he's going up against a Bengals defense that's allowing 65 receiving yards to opposing tight ends and a total of 6 touchdowns to tight ends. He's getting targeted in the red zone plenty of times. He's running more routes than just about any other tight end on the main slate, and he's seeing a target share of about 15%. So for Logan Thomas at $3,300 is an absolute steal. He really only needs to get you 8 to 9 fantasy points to hit value, which means it's going to allow you to spend up at other positions. So again, Logan Thomas, $3,300. That's my tight end play. I'm crossing my fingers that he doesn't burn me again this time. So you guys, that's all I got for you this week. Week 11, NFL, DFS, Monkey Knife Fight, DraftKings. Let's see some green screens this week. Like the video, comment, share. Let me know what questions you guys have, what you want to see for the next week, and we'll talk to you in week 12. Take care.